And I want to invite to this stage one of the blessed men and minister of God, woman, Madudia Alexandra Viktorovna. I would like to give you some information about this person, how God uses her for His glory. He is a coach for personal development. She is the founder and the head of the Coach Center Development of Personality. She is member of NGO under the City Call. She has award as their person of the charity of the year. Also, she is the head of organization Charitable Ukraine. She is the pastor and missionary of the church with 15 years experience. She is the member of Apostolic Council and Dean of Joshua Bible School. Let us greet our pastor, missionary, and activist Oksana Madudia. Joshua Bible School is on the screen. Happy birthday, dear church. Happy birthday. Praise the Lord for this birthday. God needs pastors is written on the screen. The whole world is waiting for you is on the screen. Hallelujah. Dear church, happy birthday, all of you. At such a great time we are living in, we have so wonderful God. We've missed video. Please repeat the video. Please give a hand to Jesus Christ missionary movement. Apostolic vision to open 10,000 churches, to raise up 50,000 ministers all over the world. Joshua Bible School, Dean of Joshua Bible School, Oksana Viktorovna Madudia, Europe, United States. A person needs so much, but God needs pastors. The whole world is waiting for you. One more time, please. Make this video make you to do something for the benefit of the kingdom of God and for our Heavenly Father. Become a hero for God if you are at the Embassy of God Church. We praise only you, Jesus, only you. The person needs so much, but God needs only pastors. And the whole world is waiting for you. The most important is not to do something, but to do in the best possible way. All people can do, but we have to do everything in order to leave a trace. So please, one more time. Hallelujah. Let us say loudly, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Beloved, when we praise God in unity, God opens our spirit in order for Him to sow the seed of faith, to place the seed of His word, for this word would be rooted and become a great work for the Heavenly Father. Amen. I don't know the reason for you to come here, but I came here to be changed. I came on this place with a great desire to be changed by God and to please Him as much as I can. Only person who is in love for God, he will move forward for Him till the end. He is able to respond to the calling from God. Only the person who loves God with the bottom of his heart, he is ready to overcome all the hardships and troubles in his life. And Pastor Sunday is such a person. He is the brightest example for all of us. He is a role model for us to follow him. Beloved dear brothers and sisters, I'm so impressed by this conference, and every service penetrates more into my heart, and anointing is increasing with every service. And God touches our hearts, and He does it not accidentally, not for us just to have another conference. He wants to give something to our church. He wants to increase something. He wants to give power to something, because with every year our Embassy of God Church is becoming stronger and becoming more influential. With every year the Embassy of God Church becomes more joyful. And we are part of this great movement that God is working here on this earth. And I have an honor to represent Joshua Bible School. What is Joshua Bible School? It is an instrument for producing of missionaries. Beloved, the Embassy of God Church is the movement that is directed for the whole world to bring the gospel. The Embassy of God Church is the church only I know about it. And Bishop, the Embassy of God Church is the missionary church. Amen. Precious. And this year we represent a new format of our Joshua Bible School. It's a we have faster educational process. Maybe you've been teaching in our school before, but we ask you to respond for the call of God. If you are disappointed, pastors, if you don't have fire in your churches, you need the missionary spirit. If we have the missionary spirit, we have life. Cell lives when it is divided. When we share the gospel that we have and revelations that we have, something starts to happen inside of us. Amen. Say amen if you agree with me. And Joshua Bible School, %20 of our students sends for the missionary trips. 80% of people start actively serve, and I want these numbers to grow. We have to change these Pareto principles, 20-80%. 80% of people have to go for the missionary trips. And I would like to show you news from the missionary fields. We have some people who went for the mission, and now we are going to see their address to us. News from the missionary fields. The Embassy of God Church, Apostolic Vision, "10,000 churches all over the world." Joshua Bible School. What about now? What about now? Yeah? Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm so grateful to Pastor Sunday Adelaja. I'm grateful to Bishop Anatoly Belonoshka and Oksana Viktorovna Madyudya and her team. I'm grateful to all these above-mentioned people. Can you believe that this woman is 61 years old? It's hard to believe. Beloved, because God needs pastors. We need so much. We need wives, husbands, cars, houses, money, clothes, but God needs only one thing. He needs pastors, those who will take responsibility for those who need to solution in their problems. And if we are the sons of Pastor Sunday, we have to express our gratitude and to take responsibility in the part of his goals. We have to respond and to take part of the responsibility that God gave to him. And I would like to testify, beloved, in 2011, when Joshua Bible School started to be reformed, I even was a dean of this academy. I sent 57 people from my church for the studies, and only 54 of them finished academy. And we do not know about spiritual crisis in the church. We do not know about people who do not wish to serve, who do not wish to take part on retreats, because God burns and raises up people over there, because it's a great place for the future transformers of this world. And this year, we've been working for 3 years with people, and for the last 1 year and a half, we managed to send 30 people, and we opened 30 representatives all over the world, and we opened 30 representative churches in the world. It was huge number for me, 30, and this number became a real and achievable for me, because Joshua Bible School, we have so beautiful, so great teachers, and I would like to invite all of you. This year we will have a faster studies. 4 months we will have lectures, and 2 months we are making our projects and diplomas, and all those who will be successful in the academy, they will be directed to the pastorship school and will be ordained on the next anniversary of the Embassy of God Church. Isn't it good, this program? Let us praise our God. We also have modern form of education. All the information you may obtain in our social city. If you need time to bring some people into this academy, you can motivate your people in your church and send them into this Joshua Bible School. In 7th of November, we wait all the students in Spiritual Academy Joshua Bible School. And now, raise all those people who are going to be enrolled in Joshua Bible School. Please raise your hands. I've spent so much time and efforts to promote this Joshua Bible School, and I see only 10 hands. Pastor Sunday, what's going on? Good day, dear church. It's better for people to tell. And as a pastor of local church, I would like to prove that Joshua Bible School makes people a people of quality and more effective comparing to those who are not part of this academy. We have an opportunity to send people into this school, and I can testify that all people who finish this school, they progress in their personal growth and they become more effective for society. And as a pastor, it is more easier for me to lead these people, because these are the people who would like to do something and to change the world. They have their own projects and they accomplish their goals. So especially for those, as the pastor, I'm interested for people to come and to study in this academy, because after these studies they become full-fledged personalities. Thank you very much. And I would like to add one more thing. Sometimes we are motivated that we would like to take part in Pastor Sunday's home group. It is great desire, blessed by God. But not only those who are becoming the part of Pastor Sunday's group, they sometimes just leave the group due to some reasons. You don't need to raise your hands. You probably have heard me. My precious brothers and sisters, if you would like to understand Pastor, if you would like to overcome all the pressures in Pastor's home group, if you would like to become an effective person, you need to study in Joshua Bible School and then to take part in home group of Pastor Sunday. And the same thing I would like to recommend to pastors. Just send your people to academy. 4 months are not big time, and you will receive a quality product under the title, The Servant of the Living God. Be blessed abundantly.
I want to tell you and show you what will happen through time with our church. Doesn't matter if you believe in it or if you're not believing it. The product will still come out. But another question is, will you be there or not? Will you play a part in the coming future? Will you be known to the future generation? Will you be part of what God has planned for the church? This is why this is such an important sermon for me. God, just please help us to see, not only see it with our physical eyes, but see it with you from your point of view. Give us the range of long vision to see foresight, just to see the future. We can transform ourselves from short-sighted people to far-sighted people. In the name of the Lord. Amen. Let's go. Something's wrong with my microphone. Can you turn it on? Okay. Nations of the future. Pastor Sunday Adelaja. Deuteronomy 11:22-28. For if you will be careful to do all this commandment that I command you to do, loving the Lord your God, walking in all his ways and holding fast to him, then the Lord will drive out all these nations before you, and you will dispossess nations greater and mightier than yourselves. Every place of which the sole of your foot treads shall be yours. Your territory shall be the wilderness to the Lebanon, and from the river Euphrates to the western sea. No one shall be able to stand against you. The Lord your God will lay the fear of you and the dread of you on all the land that you shall tread, as he promised you. See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today. And the curse, if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside from the way that I am commanding you today, to go after other gods that you have not known. Thank you. Who is serving God in this house? The Bible says God is a uplifting God. Say, God is uplifting. He is the uplifter. God is a quality God. People can not have quality, but God is a quality God. People can be ungrateful, but not God. Who thinks that God is more noble than people? Do you actually believe that God will promise something and not deliver? If you do something with honor to God, for a man, and if there's a guarantee that any person who you do kindness to will repay you back, is there a guarantee? No. But if he is a noble person, if you did him kindness, if you gave him kindness, he will remember and he will repay you. If he is a person. if he's a noble person. He will always repay for kindness given to him. And God, he's even more noble. Is he more noble than a normal person? Is he? I can't hear you. Is he more noble? Now imagine, you serve God. You serve God with all your heart. You give him everything you have. What type of reaction will he have to you? If he is so noble that he will remember everything. So will he repay you, or will he just forget you? Is he good enough? We do not serve a God who is not noble. He is the most noble thing you know on this planet, in this universe. He is so noble that he will repay you for any kindness you've ever given him. His love, his nobleness, it just overpowers us. For example, like just example of his nobleness. If one of you gives a glass of water to someone, even the smallest person, not to the most important one, not to an apostle, but even to the most unknown person, that is one of my servants, just a cup of water. How much does it cost? Like nothing. But even for this little cup of water, you will receive 100-fold on this earth. But you're still even gonna get more. You will get fruits on this earth and in heaven. You will continue receiving blessings the whole world you'll be living here, both on earth and in heaven, just for one cup of water. You don't imagine the levels of his generosity. He is so generous. Another level of his generosity and nobleness, for example, if someone will accept, like, if someone will accept a greeting like hello, he accepted the greeting. He didn't ignore him. He accepts him with all his faults, but with all his blessings too. You accept him with all his resources, with all his opportunities. It all becomes accessible to you just because you accepted someone. Just because you accepted a little servant of God. This should already begin drawing. You should already begin drawing a picture inside of you about God's generosity. I hope that these pictures have already convinced you that there is no way that he can tell you to serve him and that you will not receive anything better for that. If you're gonna serve him with your whole life, from your whole heart, from night to day, that means, and imagine, this is not a little cup you're giving up your whole life. Can you begin to imagine what level of generosity and how he's gonna repay you for all that you've done? This is his level of, think how high he can repay you. It's scary, really. And now let's come closer to home. Everybody who serves in this church does something for God. Let me try to open up some things for you. I'll try to tell you what God has planned for you. how he reacts for your faithfulness to him. His reactions to your faithfulness to him. This is why you have a reason to believe in him. Now you see what type of reward he's going to give you, that he has such a great reaction that you're serving him, and that he wants to repay you on such a great scale. Unfortunately, there are some people who don't even believe. If you do that, if you do not believe in him, you're missing so many opportunities. It is the same thing as someone writing a check for $1 million in your name. It's all yours. The $1 million just waiting there in your bank account, and you're like, no, I don't believe it. No, it has to be like a glitch or something. It can't be. Whose fault is that? Is it his fault for giving you the money? No, it's your fault. Without faith, no one can achieve anything in this world. So I want to tell you what God has prepared for you. Right now, I'm telling you all this with so much passion, not just to convince him not to try to persuade God to give you more blessings, but I'm trying to persuade you to believe in God more. From his point of view, he's going to give you something anyway. Anyone who has ever served him, he already has something great planned for you. If you were ever grateful to him, if you ever followed him, he has something planned for you. There are only a few people who miss this. Not because God didn't plan this, but because they don't even try to serve him. This is the future. The future that God has planned for us is too great. This is why, for all the money in the world, I'm not going to serve anyone. I'm not going to work for anyone anymore. Because I know who I am working for right now. I know how he delivers and how he repays me, rewards me. And I want him to bring you. I want you to serve him so well so that you can accept what God has planned for you. For example, what he has prepared for you if you follow him. If you continue the rules, loving God with all your heart, you love him, what does he have prepared for you? You walk down his road, he says that he will drive out all these nations before you and dispossess nations larger and stronger than you. Every place where you set your foot will be yours. For example, your calling, business, politics, media. Just make a covenant with God, where you're going, and what you gotta do. So you know where you're going? Good. For example, come here, for example. He said that my calling is the youth. But for now, what is the youth doing? Going to clubs, doing sin, having sex. This is what's happening. And God said, if you made sure that you're gonna be with God and that you want to receive my mercy, then just make sure who you want to go to and try your hardest to do it. Doesn't matter that God is ready to do all these things, that he is able to drive out all these nations that are in your place. But you need to actually get there for him to do something. If you have decided who you're gonna be, that means like God just has to do the rest. You have to get there, and God will help you to finish. It's God is saying, I'm thankful to you that you have followed me, that you decided to follow me. I'm gonna drive out. I'm gonna get all these nations that are holding the youth in, for example, drugs, alcohol, money, all these peer pressure, anything that is holding them, anything that is taking your territory right now. For you, I'm gonna drive them all out. This is just elementary faith that God can drive out anyone that is in your way.
But the problem when we do not believe him, we think that he just played the fool. He has nothing to do, and he writes all these things. Maximum that he does, that he is writing all these things for Jews. We do not believe. Every one of us who is presented here, who visit this church, every one of us. This is a revelation for you, for every parishioner of the Embassy of God Church. Do you believe or don't you believe? Anyway, he is prepared. And this revelation becomes yours when you believe. And when you believe, you try to move forward. Whatever obstacles you have, you go across all these obstacles because you believe him, as he said that he drive out all the enemies. I go and he drives out. He drives out all the nations who are on your territory, and you rule over these nations, the nations that take your territory. Not just small nations. Dispossess nation larger and stronger than you. Just imagine, I was 21 years old, so if you're young, you have great chance. You're not so young. When I was sitting in my dormitory on the street, October Street, on their 9th floor, and I switched on TV, and I listened to the commenter of one of TV programs. He said, God does not exist, people are cheated. And I was sitting, watching, and I said, God. They said that we built the state with the help of communism. Communist Party of the Soviet Union, Lenin, and they were talking in this direction. And I started to humble before God. Oh my God. I am the only man, and you brought me into the Soviet Union. I am the only man, 21 years old. I'm so weak, and I live in this dormitory, and they're my masters, because my teachers, they were atheists, non-believers. They paid for my studies. I am nobody, and they possessed everything. How are you going to bring your knowledge through me? The Soviet Union was so powerful machine. In 1989, before the shake-up of, I was so weak, and I had a food from them. How are you going to use me against this machine? I tried. It was difficult for me to imagine myself fighting against this powerful state, and God said to me, just move forward. Do not stop. Do not see mightiness of your enemy. Be focused on your faith and act according to your faith. Listen to me. If God would give unto you the nations that are weaker than you, it is not God. You can do it by yourself. So whatever God promises, if this is God, everything that He promises will be bigger than your power. Everything that He promises to you must be above your efforts, too large for you. And that means that this is God who moves. And in this case, you will see the glory of God. So do not dare to have small dream. Do not dare to have a humble dream, small dream. Every your dream must be bigger and stronger than you. It must be the biggest that can happen with you. And this is your legacy. These are the nations that God wants to give you. If your dream and your land that you defined for yourself, if you wish to conquer this land is not stronger than you, it's just your promenade. It's not God's idea, not God's desire. But if you believed, you have to work hard and to be ready to bring sacrifice by yourself and to die every day. Faith is the fulfillment of your dreams. If you do not act, it means that you do not believe. Approximately such understanding and scale that God has reward on the level that is above your efforts and power. If God wants to reward you only with the help of such global scales, He doesn't have anything smaller. And our unbelief predominantly is founded on our fears. And why fears and unbelief? Because I did not prepare myself to understand His scale, to perceive His fantasies, how big He is. We are too small inside of us. So we're just not able to comprehend His power, His might, and what kind of blessings that He is going to give us. The main our work must be in developing of ourselves, and that is why self-education we have to be focused on. You need self-educate yourself, not just to ask God for something. He has already prepared everything before you and after you. He just is waiting for you to be ready and to be able to perceive it, to accept it. All our obstacles is that we are not ready to perceive. It's not because of our enemies who are weaker or stronger. it's because you are just a mediocre person. You have no mind. You're not prepared. And an absolutely non-responsible, not serious joker. You wish only to live for free ride. You're just a lazy bone. And that is why you are not successful. You do not work hard to be prepared and to be able to just perceive from God. Not just for Him to give, but just to perceive what God has prepared for you. That is why we have to enlarge our personality's volume. You have to work on yourself, enlarging your personality and enlarging of your face, and to agree with all His promises, that all this strong nation, they will bow on their knees before you. Those whom He is going to drive out, and every place where you set your foot will be yours. Not just physical place. Every place that you will conquer. Not just in a physical world, but with the help of your strategy and program. We are just not doing anything. You just do not work. You're just stupid. You're fool. He says, wherever you go, but your feet are paralyzed. Not because physically paralyzed, but because of you being lazy bone. Wherever you go, education, politics, magazines, but you just sit on your chair and not doing anything. I have to beat it. You have to move in order to be blessed. You know, God is not happy of such children, not grateful children. I will give you the nations, but you cry out about your children. I need to break all your teeth, several of your teeth, for you to be waken up. Wherever you go, every place where you set your foot will be yours. If you just sit, it means that you will not receive anything. You have to go beforehand. You have just to do something. I do not know what I have to do with you. And if I will ask all of you, what are your dreams? What is your goal? I don't know. Sausage, car. At least to have 3-room apartment. Just simple, mediocre. You're just mediocre person. But God is speaking about mighty nations. What about the flag that you are talking about? You have to enlarge. You have to make volume, to raise and grow your muscles, just to be able to carry out. But you have to go, and nobody will withstand against you. But if you just stay, what will happen? You cannot see in God's greatness and miracles if you just sit on your chair, not doing, not acting. It means that we are hypocrites. We say about one things, we pray, fast, but we are not doing something. We are hypocrites. That is why everything that we saw yesterday, Peli Svetov, pastor from Moscow, he was on TV programs. People who are very strong, very powerful. If he would just stay in his church, he would be over there till the end of his life, not impacting the world. If you do not act, it means that you have no faith. If you have faith, you just have to knock down as much as you can. And some of you are waiting for God to come to your house, to your flat, and to bring this nation just into your flat. You have to leave your flat, your comfort zone, and just to knock down everywhere. When I find something, I will see. So actions are what matters. And nobody will withstand against you. Well-being in the eyes of people. For many people, God's blessings are in buying new car, house, and higher material profits. Of course, money are good, but they are not the goal for God. This is not His scale. The scale of God, His scale is nations. That is why when God sent you to fulfill His great mission, He was speaking about nations. It is something that has weight in the eyes of God. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. God's reward is nations as the legacy. When we serve to God, we expect Him to reward us by material things. But in reality, the biggest reward of God is nations as your legacy. Instead of our ministry, we will receive nations. God would like to bless us as much as we can imagine. Not only material things. So when we devote our life for the ministry of God, we have to pretend for the nations. We cannot limit God and define His blessings by material things. We have to expect nations as the legacy. God promised nations to Abraham. And it is something that we have to pretend. God also said to Abraham, as for Sarah, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarah. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her, and I will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her. Ask, and you will be given. Ask, and I will give you nations as the legacy, and edges of the earth for your ruling over. Psalm 2:8. When example of Pastor Sunday, when I leave this world, I want to become famous as the father for this nation and the person who obtained this nation by my faith. The nation of Oskar Schindler. Oskar Schindler is the big rich person, fabricant and member of Nazist party, risking by his life and price of all his finances, obsessions. During the Second World War, he took part in salvation of 1,200 Jews. For this day, about 9,000 ancestors are saved. In 1962, in honor of Schindler, we have the tree of righteousness. The example of Brazilian missionaries. About 100 years ago, in Brazil, from Switzerland, 2 missionaries came with their families. They were persecuted, but today their movement accounts approximately 40 million of people. Population of Sweden is about 9 million people. 2 families by their faith produce the whole nations. Their legacy 4 times more than the nation that brought them to life. With faith into God, we can do everything. I will multiply you because you believed. 2 families were multiplied, and now has 44 million of Christians who are in unity of God's assembly, founded by 2 families of missionaries. Possessions of 4 richest pastors of Brasilia is about $1.44 billion. Jose Maria Eimer, one of the most influential persons in sphere of politics in Brasilia. She is the founder of Christian Social Political Party, on the platform of which such people as Regis de Oliveira, mayor of São Paulo, and other people are acting.
Brazil became the second export of missionaries. America was the first. Most Protestant evangelists in Brazil are now famous philanthropists. The example of the Mormons. Mormons are the followers of the teaching of Joseph Smith, who are in his... There was a time where people of them, they faced persecution. Their houses were burnt, and they suffered lots of persecution. But ever since then, they now have 9 senators in the USA and over 40 congressmen. And not even then, they're not done there. They control most of the sector of economy. They have companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and over 80% of MLM. They're already their own country. Those who were persecuted now have their own cities and states. For example, Utah is 75% Mormons. Those who were dying out of hunger now feed the whole world, MLM and McDonald's. Those who are dying in nothingness now are one of the most rich people on earth. Those who are dying out of coldness are now heating up their country with gas, natural gas. Mormons are 1.4% of the population of America. They have the second biggest churches in America after Catholicism. They own a very big mall which costs about $2 million. Their profit is about $1.2 million from corporations, from 6 companies. For example, newspapers, radio stations, television channels, construction of homes, insurance companies, and much more. Also, they receive $7 billion with tithes of their rich members. Those who had to sleep in the freezing night in tents now have the biggest churches so that they can worship God for His mercy. Those who didn't want to, those who did not want to be listened to now own 11 own radio stations. Those who did not want to be seen now own 2 TV channels. They had lots of misses and failures in their lives, but by believing in God, they can do anything. Faith gives us the opportunity to create a nation. The opportunity to create a whole nation becomes a reality only for the one who will believe and work hard. Here's a application for you. Can you right now, on the example of the Swedish missionaries and Mormons, imagine how our church, the Embassy of God, will be in 100 years? Do you see a church or a nation? How do you think this is gonna come to be? Quote from the book John Tai from Singapore, God's Fate for Your Country. The thing that Pastor Sunday and the Embassy of God were able to do in Ukraine for the reformation of their nation for the first 20 years of their country is more than Martin Luther did in his whole life. Faith releases God's energy. Isaiah 53:1. Believed what they was, and to whom the arm of the Lord been revealed. A person who actually tries to believe in God gets energy from God so that he can fulfill what he has to do. If a person will only believe that he can solve headaches and get rid of headaches, that means the energy of God will allow him to do so. So if all we have to do is believe, and then all we have to believe to have a nation, then groups and clumps of people will come to us so that we can form a nation. Access to God's resources are open through faith. Baptists didn't believe that it is possible to speak in tongues, and they do not have this ability. But those people who believed and understood this as a blessing opened up for themselves a great access for God's resources. The strength of faith. The faith of a person releases energy for materialization of what they believe in. That is why Pastor Sunday will become a father for many nations, and the whole world will know him because he believes so. "20 tribes of the Embassy of God." Let's move on. We are seeds on this earth. Each one of us is a seed so that we can bring and produce fruits to them. First of all, we must die for ourselves. Second, we must sacrifice ourselves. And third, we must pay the price. Each of us is on the same level. It's repeating itself. So we must, first of all, die for ourselves. Second of all, we must sacrifice. And third of all, we must pay the price. Example of Pastor Sunday. Pastor Sunday doesn't look at himself exclusively as the pastor of a church. He sees the Embassy of God as the beginning and not the end goal. He sees himself as a seed which falls into the ground. He does not see himself as a ground that falls into the ground and must die. But he falls into the ground, sacrifices himself, so that through this sacrifice and through this seed, a whole nation can spring up from the ground. His nation will not only be contained by Russia and Ukraine, his nation will be a great country, and it will be full of people on this whole earth. And this is associated with one person who had the courage to just believe in God and put his life for a nation. Here's an assignment for you. Will you be able to imagine yourself and see your position in nations in 50, 100 years? Or can only see your biological line and only see the church? Principle of applying God's word. God looks over the people. When he will find someone who believes in his word, then the grasp of God's resistance would let loose, so that his word will become a reality. Every time you believe in something, that means God will give us more energy to fulfill it. That is because our faith produces actions. God gets rid of anybody who doesn't like it. Exodus 25:6. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. The descendants of the righteous descendants will overpopulate the earth. Where are all the descendants of all these people of Ukraine? Where? They died because they were not able to carry on, and they were all punished by the Lord. Right now, only the people are alive whose ancestors trusted and served God. And where are the people who were the ancestors of Lenin, of Stalin? Because they went away from God, their descendants had no life. Righteous people will claim the earth. What we're doing right now, today, means that us and our descendants will own this earth. Our spiritual kids will overpopulate it. Historical proof. We don't hear the names of those people who were famous before. We don't hear the names today. We only hear the ones that are doing something now. And know why? Because their ancestors served God. That is how the Word of God works.
Example of Jewish nation. Results of researches that was committed by the Center Pew Forum in 2008 demonstrated that Jewish is the richest confessional group of United States. 46% of Jewish people earn more than $100,000 per year. Only 19% of American citizens can be proud of such a profit. More 100 from 400 American figurants of rating of Forbes are Jewish people. In Jewish families are born creator, founder of Google, Sergey Brin, founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, and his deputy, David Fisher, son son of the head of Bank of Israel, Stanley Fisher, the president of Federal Reserve of United States, Ben Shalom Bernanke, and his ancestors, Alan Greenspan and Paul Warburg, are Jewish. Jewish people are shown on Wall Street, in Hollywood, in the administration of White House, in Congress Hall. In first 20 people of Russian Forbes, 5 Jewish. In the first 20 people of American Forbes are 8 Hebrews, Jewish. 20% of Nobel awarder are Jewish people. Jewish in America. Jewish mass emigration, of which started more than a century ago, today is the most and the richest and ethno-confessional group of United States. They are only 2% of population of the country, but in the rating of 400 richest people, approximately fourth part is taken by Jewish, having only 7-8% of national possessions, so-called capital, Hebrew, are able to control 70-80% of American economy. God changes the world's map. Every 100 years, God changes the map of the world, and it happens because God makes people to understand that He is the creator of the world, and He changes the destiny of humankind. Before we had Soviet Union time, but then God destroyed Soviet Union, and now God gives the chance to other nations. Every nation has its destiny. If any nation do not fulfill its calling, God will entrust this nation as the legacy into the hands of the nation that serves God. By this, the whole nations are vanishing. There are nations, representatives of which are only several hundreds, and less than 10 of people are left. We passed about Mormons and Hebrews. We also passed. How many people were standing on the foundation of Jewish people? Just at the beginning, just one, just proclaim one person, just say one person. The next question, personally you. All these nations started just from one person. Now you are the only, and you have any doubts that you will fail. And the next question for you, the God who called one Jewish person, is He the same from all these centuries? Is He the same God? Oh, He is the same God. I do not hear. Is He the same God? I do not hear you. I do not hear you. Personally you, I do not hear. Maybe the same God. So I have another question. Maybe for this period of time, He become His elder God, and He is impacted by God, so God probably has changed. Just understand it. God is the same God that He was in the past, at the present, and forever. And he is not changing. It means according to his principles. He doesn't care, is it Abraham, Vasya, Samuel, Oleg, Derek, Professor Vincent. He does the same kind of things. He has no time. He has no time limits. He has no time span. So when he finds someone who believes in him, that is why Prophet Isaiah, who knew him, who will believe? Who will believe? Because everything will become for those who believe. Who will believe to such God? Because he gives, he has no favorites. He does not play fool. If he speaks, he fulfills his word. Will anybody believe? Do you want to tell me that Mormon has the right from the doctrinal point of view? Maybe you are afraid there's something wrong in your life. Do you think that Abraham was the right person? Abraham, Mormon, they have one common thing. They believed in one God. He is searching someone who will believe in me, who will believe. Not only for sausage, not for the fat, for car or some material things, for house. Who will believe for the nations? Who will believe for the nations, for territories? Who is going to believe? And for everyone who is believer, who dares to believe, mighty of Almighty God will be opened. He is mighty, was in the past, is in the present, and will be opened. But it will be open only for those who will believe. So it's written in Romans and Gospels that revelations of Abraham came to life not because he is a righteous person. He received everything not because of his righteousness, but according to his faith. Who will believe? Revelations of Mormons are not because they're righteous, but somebody dared to believe. Who will believe? And the sign that you have believed is that you try to accomplish your goals and dreams. You just run and fulfill your goal. And if you see that you have a lack of faith, just grow, enlarge your muscles, pray, fast, enlarge in order to believe. And start to run as quicker as you can, trusting totally to God. What have you read? We passed Mormons, Hebrews, Jewish. We have passed Brasilia. What is difference between people in Sweden and those people who believed to God and went for the missionary? And for some people in Sweden, they prefer to stay in their comfort zone. Their life standards are too high and they are not interested in missionary field. Who is going to believe? But those who believe, they left their comfort zone, they left their native land, and they received the nation that 4 times more than their own nation. Who is going to believe? How do I know that I believe? When you will run, your face is fulfillment. I'm wet.
People say that I'm wet already again, and it says that I can't preach when I'm wet. That's why my voice is getting sick. So continue listening, but remember, listen visually. Get a picture. That is very important. Get a picture, not with your ears, but with your soul. See it with your soul. Psalms 80, 8 through 10. You transplanted a vine from Egypt. You drove out the nations and planted it. You cleared the ground for it, and it took root and filled the land. The mountains were covered with its shade. The mighty cedars with its branches. God is going to destroy the unbelievers, but the descendants of the believers will multiply. Isaiah 45:19. I did not speak in secret in a land of darkness. I did not say to the offspring of Jacob, seek me in vain. I, the Lord, speak the truth. I declare what is right. God gives everyone who serves him. We cannot expect material gain for what we're doing. We need to expect total nations. Anybody, doesn't matter if you're a businessman or a teenager, serve God and you will get a nation. God gives to those who search him. You can't please God only with your faith alone. Hebrews 11:6. God is going to reward people based on what they believe in. God gives you on your personal faith, which is why whenever we serve him, we need to ask for our own personal nation, the one that is in our own heart. Ask of him for your own nation. Isaiah 43:1 through 4. But now, thus says the Lord, he who created you, O Jacob, he who formed you, O Israel, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name, you are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I give Egypt as your ransom, Cush and Seba in exchange for you. Because you are precious in my eyes and honored, and I love you, I give men in return for you. peoples in exchange for your life. Fear, this is only given to us as an exchange of our life. We need to die and then sacrifice ourselves into our nations. We need to work. We need to work so hard in order to receive these nations. That is when we will receive these nations, when we work hard. Heavens do not lie. Or you cannot deceive heaven. Without blood, sweat, and tears, you're not gonna get nations from the Lord. You just need to waste yourself on your life. You just need to use all your physical tools to get there. When we're just serving without special purpose, we're not gonna get anywhere. But when we're working as hard as we can, laying out our whole soul, God will pay us back exactly the same way. With nations, people do not want to work. They just want to live, not harming themselves. That's why I do not get any legacy. Matthew 24:14. And this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Nations as a heritage. God gives nations only to those who act as his son. Psalms 2:7-8. I will tell of the decree. The Lord said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your heritage, and the ends of the earth your possession. What does it say about the nations? Daniel 7:22 and Daniel 7:27. Until the Ancient of Days came and pronounced judgment in favor of the holy people of the Most High, and the time came when they possessed the kingdom. It's hard for people to believe in what they cannot see. This is why we need faith. We need to be able to give our whole soul and life for something that we do not see. Nations come only through faith. Romans 4:13. For the promise to Abraham and his offspring that he would be heir of the world did not come through the law, but through the righteousness of faith. Zechariah 4:6-7. Then he said to me, this is the word of the Lord to Zerubbabel, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts. Who are you, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel you shall become a plain, and he shall bring forward the top stone amid shouts of grace. Grace to it. Faith of a person releases the energy of God. That is why we need to not only work with our physical tools, but also work with faith. The importance of faith in yourself. We must be confident that everything will work out for the best, or else nothing else is worth it. Even if we have to pay a price for it, being put down, embarrassment. After we go through all these tests, no one will be able to stand against us. Deuteronomy 11:25. No one shall be able to stand against you. The Lord your God will lay the fear of you and the dread of you on all the land that you shall tread, as he promised you. Deuteronomy 7:22-24. The Lord your God will clear away these nations before you, little by little. You may not make an end of them at once, lest the wild beasts grow too numerous for you. But the Lord your God will give them over to you and throw them into great confusion until they are destroyed. No one will be able to stand against you. God raises those who believe in Him. God will get rid of the people who are ruling right now to put in their place the people who serve them. For example, how it was with the Christians. They suffered through persecution, they were called a sect, but as time went on, Christians became influencers and nation of multitude. Persecution means that there will be victory later. Persecution is good. Persecution shows that there will be victory after us. We are persecuted because we are feared, but persecution will not last forever. Joshua 21:44. And the Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their fathers. Not one of all their enemies had withstood them, for the Lord had given all their enemies into their hands. Deuteronomy 11:25-28. No one Do you hear what's going on? How can you not do anything after this? No one. This is the power of the Lord. Remember, no one will stand. So people say, Pastor, you're not scared? I don't care. Let them do whatever they want. Their maximum is nothing compared to God. No one. We must decide, are we believers or are we not? That means nobody will be able to come against. Come on, interpret this. That means you have no obstacles. Are we believers? Yes, that means we believe and nothing will happen to us. There is nothing blocking your way. Nobody is stopping you. What's the problem then? If nobody's in your way, why are you having such a hard time? Continue reading. No one shall be able to stand against you. The Lord your God will lay the fear of you and the dread of you on all the land that you shall tread, as he promised you. See, I am setting before you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today. And the curse, if you do not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside from the way that I am commanding you today, to go afar after other gods that you have not known. Blessings is your future. Blessing all the nations in your name, this is your blessing. There will be no one against you. No one will be able to face you. Okay, there's no point in being scared of someone. They're all going to hell. Only the ones who know God are not going to hell. Why are you scared? He's gonna die anyway. He's gonna burn. Anybody who doesn't believe in God is gonna burn. It will all burn. Why should I be scared? He's gonna die, but I'm gonna have eternal life. Where are all these communists that was scaring people right now? It's all gone. They're all burning in hell. Why were you scared? The worst thing that can happen to me is that I'll die. But actually the best thing that can happen to me, because that means I'll finally get my reward. So why are you so scared? If they kill me, that's what I want. Like Paul said. Is it not so? That's the only thing I wish for. I'm working so hard in preparation for my death. I'm working so hard so I can die. I can die honorably. Look, your whole life just leading up to your death. Every day I'm ready to die. So if they die, all they're doing is giving me a faster way to get to my heaven. I'm telling you, I'm not scared, and you should not be scared either. Why are you even scared of the people? Who are they to you? They won't even be here tomorrow. Lenin isn't here anymore. What, he was persecuting you before? Now he's praying for you, so you won't believe in him, so you won't join him in hell. There is nothing to fear.
Stalin Communist Party, they disappeared, they vanished into thin air. We think that they are so mighty, but just vanished like a vapor. There is nothing more powerful than God. What are you afraid of? We're nobody. Nobody is anybody. So just move forward by big steps, doing your best according to the order of your God, according to the kingdom of God. God is searching for believers who are crazy believers. God is looking for. Who is going to believe? In Isaiah you read, I didn't say to you just to look for me. If you will, I do not say anything in vain. I do not want you to minister to me in vain. Nothing is in vain. And now God says, here is what I want to give you, because you were searching for me, you were serving to me. Nothing is in vain. I want to give you this. I want to give you the legacy reward, because you were searching for me, but I'm not ready to perceive it. What for are you serving to me? Just for nothing? If you do not believe that I want to give you, and if it will be difficult, of course it will be difficult. There is no other way. How it's possible for women to have a baby? It is so painful. 9 months she has to carry out her future child. And during all these months, 27 bones are being broken. But then she will have her child. Everything is difficult in this life, because not to fulfill the will of God is more difficult. Everything is difficult. But to live not for God is more difficult. Not pleasing Him is more difficult. Let's move forward. While we are going to read, I want representatives or founder of Anatomy of Marriage, Maduda, what kind of national projects, programs do we have? Magazine, Values of Life magazine. Do we have some national scale projects? Please be prepared. Come to me on the scene, on the stage. Every one of us, we can have national movement. At least 100 projects that you are guiding simultaneously. Any topic, take any of my books and it will be movement on the national scale. As Tebelskaya can go to the stage also. Let's move forward. Nobody will stand against you. Is it to... Is he God lying or he tells you the truth? I do not think that God is crazy, God. But if he is not crazy, it means that he tells the truth. Whether he knows that he says to you the truth, or he just is cheating all of us. Nobody will stand against you. And what are you afraid of? If God says that nobody will stand against you. But for this to happen, we have to fall in love with God in a crazy way. You have to be sure that I do my best for Him in the best possible way. You will have ups and downs. You are not perfect. You will have mistakes. But be sure that you are moving. I want to please you. You are my highest priority, God. Even if you will have contradictory enemies, try to please God as much as you can. And everything will be fine. You are covered. You are hidden. And love God and love people. First of all, we have to love God. And then you have to love people. Everything that you have made in between does not matter. Because God knows your heart if you love Him. If you do your best in order to please Him and to praise Him, God will understand all your weaknesses, all your imperfectness. We have to fall in love with God in a craziest way. We have to make Him the highest priority, laying down our life. If you're not ready to give your soul for His sake, it means that you gave your soul to yourself. Someone who is ready to give soul, but someone who wants to keep his soul will lose it at the end. If you are afraid to lose something, oh my God, something will happen with my child, it means that you will not hear me. You will lose it. If you worry about your family, you will lose it. If you're afraid to lose something, you will lose it eventually. But someone who is ready to lose everything, he will obtain. Everything will be kept for such person. Everyone who considers himself as dead and ready to take any kind of risk, not to worrying about his life, you will have a long life. And anyone who worries about his life, he will die as the dog in a yard. These are the principles of God. Let's move further. Joshua 23:4-11. Behold, I have allotted to you as an inheritance for your tribes those nations that remain, along with all the nations that I have already cut off, from the Jordan to the great sea in the west. The Lord your God will push them back before you and drive them out of your sight, and you shall possess your land, just as the Lord your God promised you. Therefore, be very strong to keep and to do all that is written in the book of the law of Moses. turning aside from it neither to the right hand nor to the left, that you may not mix with these nations remaining among you. Fulfill all your nations. It is an old covenant. There are 6,000 rules. It's not possible to fulfill it. And that is why God left only 2 conditions: love your God and love your neighbor. God is watching over your heart. So do not try to do not follow all these rules, but fall in love with God with all your heart and try to please Him as much as you can. Everything will be fine. That you may not mix with these nations remaining among you, or make mention of the names of their gods, or swear by them, or serve them, or bow down to them. But you shall cling to the Lord your God, just as you have done it to this day. For the Lord has driven out before you great and strong nations, and as for you, no man has been able to stand before you to this day. How many times it is repeated? Nobody will stand against you. No man has been able to stand before you. I just saw in the spiritual world that I will manage. Just somebody had this thought: I will manage, I will do something. I just saw this in spiritual world, and God gives me these revelations that somebody just understood it. I just saw this picture in the spiritual world. Listen to me. The biggest enemy, an obstacle you may face, is not the devil, but your garbage in your head. Just pronounce garbage. Junk in the head. Junk in the head. This is your problem. Less religion, less junk, and everything will be good. Less religion and junk. For the Lord has driven out before you great and strong nation, and as for you, no man has been able to stand before you to this day. One man of you puts to flight 1,000, since it is the Lord your God who fights for you, just as He promised you. Be very careful, therefore, to love the Lord your God. Be guided by God's principles. Live and be guided by His standards, values, and plan them out. Do not copy the nation that you want to rule over. Do not copy and do not take its traditions, methods, and politics in any sphere. Achieve your goals not by secular methods, but on the foundation of God's laws. Stick to God, lean to God, live and work according to His standards. Otherwise, you will be a legacy for somebody, for someone else. Our focus is God. Be very strong, be careful to obey all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, without turning aside to the right or to the left. Do not associate with these nations that remain among you. Do not invoke the names of their gods and or swear by them. You must not serve them or bow down to them, but you are to hold fast to the Lord your God, as you have until now. In order to keep focus, you have to be devoted and faithful in fulfillment of commandments, not living by secular way of life. We have to lean to God in order to receive riches of this world, and do not be stick to these material things. Otherwise, we'll commit sin against God. God's plans for us. God has huge grace and ideas for us. He wants to give all the He wants to give all spheres of life to his nations. And for this purpose, we cannot sit at the church, but we have to impact the world in the area that we are called to. Only doing this, we can receive nations as legacy, and God will make master in any area. God kept you safe for his purpose. God kept us safely for his purpose. He says that he saved us in order to make us a covenant for the nation and to restore this earth. That is why we should not sit at the church. We are not saved for this purpose. Isaiah 49:8. This is what the Lord says: in the time of my favor I will answer you, and in the day of salvation I will help you. I will keep you and will make you to be a covenant for the people, to restore the land and to reassign its desolate inheritances. Restorers of the earth. Judges 3:30. That day Moab was made subject to Israel, and the land had peace for 80 years. While till believers will not go and do not sow themselves in any area, there will not be any order and peace in this area. Returning of the land to God. God wants to bring back the whole earth, subdue all areas of life. But God can do it only through believers who will go for sacrifices and sow themselves in these spheres in order to conquer these areas for Christ. Through Zion, God calls the land to himself. Zion is the church. Church has to be scattered across all the world and to conquer, subdue it to God. Psalm 51:3. The mighty one, God the Lord, speaks the summons the earth from the rising of the sun to where it says, from Zion perfect is beauty, God shines first. Our God comes and will not be silent, and fire devours before him, and around him a tempest rages. Romans 8:19-21. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. For the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. Everyone has his own area. Everyone of us, we have part in our land, and nations are our legacy. God wants us to go and to conquer this part by our faith. But those who will not dare to do it, who will not believe and do not devote but only to the secular vanity, will die in the desert, not reaching the promised land. Joshua 23:4. Remember how I have allotted as an inheritance for your tribes all the land of the nations that remain, the nations I conquered between the Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea and the west. God is moving, is ahead. Joshua 23:5. The Lord your God himself will push them out for your sake. He will drive them out before you, and you will take possession of their land, as the Lord your God promised you. When we work for his sake, the power of God is being delivered, is released. And against this power nobody is able to withstand. One is not a warrior on the field. The sense of life must be desire to please him. Even if person will go lonely to the land in order to conquer it for Jesus Christ, and in this case God will spread him and nobody can hinder such a person. Exodus 34:24. I will drive out nations before you and enlarge your territory, and no one will covet your land when you go up 3 times each year to appear before Lord your God. Everything is for him. Isaiah 48:11-13. For my own sake I do this. How can I let myself be defamed? I will not yield my glory to another. Listen to me, Jacob, Israel, whom I have called. I am he, I am the first and I am the last. My own hand laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand spread out the heavens. When I summon them, they all stand up together. For God himself, God will help us to restore the earth. He is final and the only ruler of the earth.
Everybody who was invited up to the stage, please come up. Please come to the stage. Good afternoon, dear church. I just want to talk a little bit about making a parallel between the project that I'm doing and what Pastor Sunday just talked about. And if I could just ask, could you please stop moving around in the hall? I'll ask you again, can you please stop walking around in the hall? So first of all, I wanted to say, okay, now, can you turn on the lights? Oh, okay. No, I'm not in charge of the project, but my wife is, but she's just not here. I just wanted to talk about a parallel between my project and my wife's project, and yes. So, first of all, you understand that. Can you please fix the microphone? Thank you. Any project, if a person wants to enlarge it, he needs to understand that while he's talking, I just want to tell you what I wanted to do. I wanted to call every person in this hall who had some argument, or why you have fears, why you have doubts, or something's not working out, just any arguments. I want to break every opposition. Like, I'm scared of this, and I'm worried about this. And this is what's bothering me. If you have any gram of doubt, would you please come up here? I just want to free you from any little form of doubt that is holding you back. You'll only say one phrase. Your doubt, your fear, just one phrase. And if somebody has already said your fear, then please go back to your seats. We don't need to have our fears repeated. If one person has already said your fear, please go back. Nobody else will come. Okay, no more. So, I can already answer one person's fear. So, Pastor Sunday knows more about my wife. That she's already in this church for 20 years. And if you say that Embassy of God is her, it is definitely her. So when it came to the story of her life, and if you believe that you do not actually believe, if she told you the story of her life, you'd be like, wow, anything is possible. I listened to the story of Pastor Sergey, and he was like, everything's normal. You don't have such a bad life. So the point is, any project is an expression of love from a person to God. If anybody saw how my wife is now praising and worshiping God, can you call that passion? We just need to bring that passion and take it into another form. Can you please come closer, Pastor Andre? And can you all stand in one line? What I want to do, please pay attention. Pastor Andre is doing a project of the anatomy of marriage. It's a international project. Did it work for him? Oh, his wife is doing it. Did it work? Yes, it worked. And now this is a simple woman, right? But she had a nation. And look, all these journals. Did it happen? Did it work out? Yes, it did. Oksana Maduda, she's a pastor. She wanted to plant 1,000 churches. And this year, only 30 churches she planted. Is that normal? Yeah, that's good. Head of the teachers department. And a big conference was made. And there were over 35 speakers. And a conference just for learning. And did it work out for her? Yes, it did. And now it's various projects. But the most important thing that all of them knew what they wanted. What type of land they wanted to conquer. And now a question to you. Were there struggles in her way to glory? They actually think that there was no struggles in it? Of course there was. She can tell you so many problems that she had to face. Were there any problems in your problem? Yes, and there even now. Were there any in yours? It's like, yes, so many. But because God promised that we'll be safe, we're all safe. Anything that is greater than us, God will compare to us and He will make everything right. Doesn't matter. The more you fight, the more you try to survive, the harder you work. That's how God's going to repay you. Do you understand me? And now, what are all your fears? Start telling me. One phrase. Faith in myself. Self-confidence. You'll be you'll be showing us about self-confidence. Okay, I will tell you this. Find about 5 of my books which talk about this theme, or any sermons, or 10 or 20 of them. But I just have one request for you. Don't read them like we are taught to read at school. How were we taught at school? just how many words you can read in a minute, that means you're the best. But no, I want you to do it the other way around. As slowly as you can. The slower the better. Because so that every word can actually get to you. Read in a way so you can stop and see yourself, imagine yourself in each situation in this book. Visualize yourself. Absorb everything. That your problem will disappear so fast that you have another problem that you need to be stopped. You just have to do this. Okay, who's next? The fear of making mistakes. Okay, you are representing everyone who's scared to make a problem. Okay, look at me. Look at me really well. Do you actually think that I'm perfect? I think not. Why are you scared of your mistakes? You're not scared of my mistakes, but you're scared of your mistakes. The only people who do not make mistakes are the people who do not do anything. Only the lazy people do not make mistakes.
The more mistakes you make, the more you know. The more mistakes you make, the more knowledge you acquire. And one of your mistakes is one of the ways which you shouldn't go anymore. And all your mistakes show how you can do better and how to succeed next time. To avoid mistakes is to leave yourself on the lower level and not accelerate. If you don't make mistakes, you don't need God, you don't need I don't need you, anyone needs you, because only devil needs you. Because God wants you to move forward, but devil wants you to stand still. Do you know Fares, my son? When he was 2 years old, I went to missionary. I think he was 2 or 3 years old. And when I came back home, his mother was busy. He asked his mother to bring me a cup of water, glass of water actually. And he had so dirty fingers that I couldn't understand why these fingers are so dirty. Only God knows where these fingers were. And he brought this glass of water, putting all his dirty fingers into this water. And when he brought me this glass of water, do you know what I did? Okay. Do you think that I started to punish my son, and I started to threat him, swearing or shouting at him? No, of course I didn't shout at my son. Do you think God would do the same? Yes, I'm sure God would do the same. God is too noble to do this, punishments, to shout at people. I said to him, "You are my son," and I drank all the water in that dirty glass. I just drank all the water just to bring joy to him. Why? Because he tried his best. He tried his hardest to help me, to serve me. God knows, God knows that we're flesh. God knows that we are flesh, that we're weak. He knows that we are weak without Him. No, listen to me carefully. I will tell you one thing. God knows all your mistakes, and He knew all your mistakes before you were born. That's why you shouldn't persuade God for Him to understand that you can make mistake. You shouldn't persuade God in this, because God knows already. If people don't understand, God will always understand you. God, knew that Phares had right heart. When Phares was growing and he learned to walk. I have some photos of this. And he didn't put his legs close to each other, but he placed the legs far from each other, and that's why he fell. He did some 2 steps and then fell. Why didn't I take a belt and start beating him? Because he was falling all the time. Of course, I was rushing to him. I was picking him up, and I was rejoicing in at least these 2 steps he made. Did you grasp what I said? So go. Next complex. Complex of low esteem. The complex of low self-esteem. You have this complex because you're very small. Now tell me, please. What's the size of God? God is very big. Where does this God live? He lives in me. Then why are you embarrassed? Why do you have the inferiority complex? Go, please. Yeah, I have, a fear of my age and health. Oh, do you think that you're too old? Yeah, I'm 57. If I didn't have Pastor Bossy, I would marry you. You're not old. The only problem we have is rubbish in our heads. I don't even notice the age in people. Can you tell me, please? Should fear not to manage to do something stop you or make you run faster? Of course, it should make me run faster. Of course. So I have a fear of being lonely. So you don't have team. You do everything yourself. You're alone. Yeah, just jerk to me with your face. So you're lonely. You don't have any team. Where are you from? I'm from Murmansk city. It's written in the Bible that when Joel thought he was left alone, God said to him, when Elijah said to God that he was left alone, God told him that there are 7,000 people which can follow you. You have just to find them. Go and find your people. Pastor, I have the fear of speaking on the stage. I don't have eloquency. Speak out of the bottom of your heart. You will always speak sincerely. If you always speak sincerely, you will do right. I have doubts. Yeah, we were speaking about this, so go away. So I have a fear to do something wrong, not quality. Yeah, come up, please. Even God failed to do something from his first time. Do you remember the story of Jesus Christ who tried to heal a person who was blind? Because when Jesus tried to heal that blind person the first time, when he said, to the question of Jesus, what do you see? He said, I see people like trees. It means that Jesus failed to heal him fully from the first time. Every time when you have fear to do something in quality, the main thing is to discover these mistakes, and the main thing is you shouldn't stop doing other steps ahead. Even sometimes God failed to do something at once. God said, may light come, and then light came. And then God looked carefully and then noticed darkness. God created light, and then when he looked carefully, found darkness. Then it means that he failed to create the light at once from the first time. But what did God do? He started to improve this light. He divided light from the darkness, and he improved the thing he created yesterday. And today he improved it and did it more thoroughly and efficiently. I have the fear of other opinions about me. So you have the you have the fear of opinions of other people. So if you are afraid of opinions, then who are these people in the hall? Do you know the names of all people in the hall? I don't know. Then spit at them. Just don't care about their opinion. Coco Chanel, so she was unbeliever. She said, I don't care what you think of me. The man what I'm thinking about myself, and I don't think about you at all. I don't think about you at all. It doesn't matter what other people think. The main is what you think of yourself. Think constructively, think of your purpose, think of God, and then just don't care about other opinions. My inside limitations bother me. I have fear of my inside limitations. If you have this inside restrictions, then it means that you are lack of knowledge. So you have to self-educate. You have to study carefully. You have to educate yourself all the time. You have to study the books and make a system to read at least one book every month. Just if you found your weak spot, then just start to dig there. So I have a desire to be in several fields at once. I don't understand what's the problem here. I don't have time to develop all the areas I wish. Okay, come up. A fear to be dispersed. So start one thing and then take other. So then after you finish second one, take the third, the fourth, and the sixth in turn. I have a fear to be in delusion and then to get other people into the delusion. So I got it. So you have to find a leader or pastor who you will be obedient to. Of course, if you don't have any guide, then you can be tempted to get into delusion. But if you have someone like leader or pastor who you trust and who is authority to you, then you will not be afraid of delusion. I don't see myself as a leader, but you shouldn't see yourself as a leader. You should see yourself as a slave, as a servant. So they say that we have to go to March of Peace. Jesus said that the one who wants to be at the front should be at the back. The one who wants to be ahead should be the last. So that's why don't see yourself as a leader, be yourself a slave, and then a crowd of people will follow you. Just see yourself as a slave, but be the best slave ever. I have a fear of strangers. I'm afraid of new people. Look at those people in the hall. They all don't know you. If they don't know you, but you went to the subway, for example, all these people who you do not know went to the subway. And for example, you do something bad in the metro, you say something loudly and this thing is very bad. How will they know that it's you did this bad thing? Do they know your name? Will they write some article in the newspaper if they don't know your name? Moreover, why should be you afraid of some unknown people? If they can't, spread the rumors about your bad deeds. No, imagine another picture. All people know me in the subway, and then when I start jumping and singing about God in the metro, and then they know that it is Pastor Sunday, they will find my photo, they will start writing articles in the newspapers. Who should be afraid of these articles? You, when no one knows you, or me, who is well known everywhere. Pastor, I have the fear to start communication. I'm afraid of getting acquainted with new people. Don't be afraid of it, because people will never remember you, after they get acquainted with you. Just they go and live with their own problems. Just take away the rubbish out of your head. Hello. I have the fear of opinions. And I am afraid of starting something new because I am afraid of opinion of other people. We just said about it. So now I lose some focus from time to time. I cannot concentrate on one issue. This is very simply find all the preachings from the summer fasts. And also buy all the books which are recommended. I have one of the books entitled The Power of Concentration, and then absorb each word from it and just practice. That's all. Let's finish.
The first 25 years,
25 лет.
we had only 653 missionaries in India. Since the Indian Apostolic Transformation National Conference in April,
И начав тогда в апреле международные апостольские конференции в Индии,
we changed our strategy.
мы изменили нашу стратегию работы.
And the apostles and evangelists among those 653 missionaries
И из тех 653 миссионеров-евангелистов
to 6 new villages every week.
Мы сегодня открываем работу в 6 деревнях каждую неделю.
Our goal is to have 1 million churches.
Наша цель – это иметь 1 миллион церквей.
To reach all 500,000 unreached villages in India.
Для того, чтобы достигнуть все 500 тысяч примерно деревень, которые есть в Индии.
And all 500,000 unreached neighborhoods of cities in India by the year 2021.
И более полумиллиона общин, которые есть в Индии, закрытые.
Here is how we will do it.
И вот стратегия, как мы решили это делаем.
Since April,
с апреля
we have reached 29,982
мы достигли уже около 30 тысяч человек, около 30 тысяч деревень.
By the end of 2014,
к окончанию 2014 года,
at just 6 villages per week per missionary,
умножая всего лишь на 6 новых деревень для одного миссионера в неделю,
we will have reached 60,000.
Мы достигнем 60 тысяч новых деревень.
3 months from now.
За 3 месяца.
By the end of 2015,
к окончанию 2015 года,
we will absolutely with certainty have reached 140,000.
Мы уверены и можем для себя гарантировать, что мы достигнем порядка 150 тысяч новых деревень.
By 2016,
к 2016 году это будет порядка 250 тысяч деревень.
240,000.
I translate.
240,000.
Yeah.
And by 2017,
И к 2017 году мы достигнем порядка 350 тысяч
this
деревень.
is only one village a day. And
Всего-навсего нужно для этого перемещаться миссионеру в каждый день новую
they're
деревню.
right after each other.
И все.
By 2021,
К 2021 году
we will have reached 1 million.
мы сумеем достигнуть эти 500 000 деревень.
I have to pray for you. Let's stand up. Put one of your hands on yourself. Have you heard this preaching? Now I will transfer grace of God and anointing of God. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, your word was released. You don't say any word which will not produce any fruit. I'm grateful to you that this message, this word, will bring even more fruits, much more fruits, with the purpose of which it was sent. I'm sure and I pray that the new fathers of the nations will be raised out of the people in the whole. We will conquer the nations by faith, just the same way as Abraham did it, just the same way Isaac did it. They will succeed. The same way John did it. And the same way as Sweden missionaries succeeded in conquering the nations, they will succeed. In the name of Jesus Christ, seal them, seal your word and their faith, and give them not just believe and sit still, but give them passion and wisdom just to start the way as fast as possible, to start the work instantly, realizing their faith, and then they will see your harvest for the glory of Heavenly Father. And let's say together, Amen.